Hey y'all! Welcome back to our channel. So today we're going to be talking about what it's like to pursue medicine from coming from an immigrant family where most of our family members, or like almost none of our family members, were in medicine. So we're just going to be talking a little about that experience and how that shaped us and our journey. We're going to be talking about like a couple of the stereotypes that are out there that are very pervasive, I guess, in like an immigrant family where Asian parents, like the tiger mom, or the memes that y'all see on subtle Asian traits that talk about Asian parents only wanting their kids to go into engineering, law, or medicine. Yeah. So those three are like the golden standard, right? So a lot of parents will give I guess us Asian kids the pressure of having to pursue those 3 degrees, but it's actually, like, as y'all know, incredibly difficult, and it's not just something that you can just make a decision one day and get in the next day. Okay, so as many people know, Asian parents are notorious for wanting their kids to pursue 3 different paths.
All three.
Ideally, all 3. Like, there's that, like, NASA doctor who served in the military, or I don't know, that astronaut or something like that. Yeah, he was in the military first, and then he got an MD, so he's a doctor as well, and then he is now an astronaut or something like that.
Who is this?
There's some dude who did it, and he's Asian, so I feel like that's...
Don't tell my parents that.
All right. That's kind of like the expectation a lot of immigrant parents have for their kids, because they obviously want their kids to be the top of the cream of the crop, the top of the top, because they worked really hard to get to immigrate to another country.
Right, and I feel like, let me stop you right there. My mom was like, I don't want you to be the cream of the crop. You have to be the cream of the cream of the crop. I want you to know I grew up my whole life hearing that.
And I feel like some of us can relate. My mom never said that, but similar things were said,
she was
right?
Thinking it. They all think it. They all think it.
It's really easy to say, like, I want to go into medicine. I want to go to medical school, but the path towards it is really difficult, as we have explained and showed through a couple of our videos, and you've probably been through it as well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Asian parents are like, go to medical school, not here are the steps or the resources that you need to get there. I felt like my parents didn't know that much about the American education system because they immigrated here, and then they just had me, and they were like, okay, doctor, daughter. All right, let's talk about toxic childhoods.
Like low-key, like super low-key childhood trauma.
Okay.
So, is it low-key even though?
I was pretty high-key. Okay. So, to be fair, I give all the credit of discipline and hard work to both my parents, right? So my dad and mom both came to America in like their early 20s. My mom came as a nurse, and my dad just came for fun. He like dropped out of like his undergrad studies and then came to America because his visa got approved. So anyway, I feel like my parents just always wanted me to be a doctor and thought it was such like an easy goal, because it's like, oh, if we can come to America, which was the hardest thing that they had to do in their life, granted, they could say that, oh, I gave my child the support system. They're already in the golden country, so they can, they can do golden everything.
Country.
The golden country.
Love that.
They can come and they can like, blossom. My dad always, this is a weird side note. My dad was like, all these Americans are so tall. He's like 6. He was like, all these Americans are so tall, but if I grew up in a first world country and I drank all the milk that they drank, then I would be 6 feet tall too. So
nice.
My dad attributes to like all achievement and all success to being, in America.
I think with my parents it's kind of similar too. They also immigrated. They immigrated from Taiwan in their mid-20s for school. And I just always remember my dad telling me that like he couldn't eat anything like that he was used to here, and all he could eat like was really pizza. So this man, I guess, just like ate pizza for a couple of years, and only pizza, because that's the only thing that he could really stomach. And like my big said, like, I attribute all of my values, all of anything I've ever done. I love my parents. They're fantastic. They have been a great support system. But we all know like what it is to be Asian, where their way of saying I love you is through bowls of fruit or food and stuff like that. And sometimes like people's like love languages and stuff like that doesn't translate across as the same things, right? So we do feel often like we're in it by ourselves, where in reality they're trying to support us the best that they can.
Right. I feel like during high school I came home telling my parents like, oh, they're talking about this thing called the advanced placement test, or they're talking about top 10%, which is like high school rankings, and they're talking about what undergrad college do you go to. I didn't even find out what the Texas undergrad schools were until I was maybe a junior, okay? So I definitely didn't have that guidance into American education systems, like transitioning into college, let alone how that affected me becoming a doctor or applying to medical school in the next couple years.
Right. So I know that we had just previously said that, like, oh, all Asian parents want their kids to be like physicians or whatever. So I actually, for my story with my parents, I actually told them that I was interested in becoming a physician because I had seen a cool surgery someday, and I was like, that seems like something that I want to do. And the first thing I was told by my grandpa was that you should probably be a nurse. Not to diss any nurses or anything like that,
my
but
mom's a nurse.
I'm not dissing nursing, but like he was telling me that like traditionally from like a stereotypical point of view, females should be nurses and males are physicians or doctors, right? So that was the first response. And then I told my mom, and I told her at that point I was applying to college, and I was like, I'm gonna be pre-med, la la la. And she's like, maybe you should do business. I heard that's easier. And I was like, okay, mother. I thought you wanted us to work hard. And I'm like, yeah, she does want me to work hard. But when she said she wanted me to do business, she was like, you should be a CEO of something. I was like, okay, okay, mom. So I actually went against my parents' wishes, and well, here I am in medical school.
Such a rebel.
Yeah. So that's kind of like where I came from with like my family was telling me one thing, like, and I think that's common for immigrant families where they tell you what they want from you, but it's ultimately like your life and your choice to pursue that or not.
I have this other side story. And it's my mom, like, I don't know, changing diapers or doing something. I was really, really small, and then she would tell me almost every day, like, you're gonna be a doctor one day. Wow, thanks, Mom. So
she's
it's
like ingraining that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's always nice to have like that idea, like, yes, oh, I want to be a doctor one day, but like I said, there was that huge gap between what I wanted and what my parents wanted versus like how I was actually gonna achieve that goal. And then that's why I always felt kind of like alone in high school and undergrad. I just didn't feel like people kind of understood that, or maybe I never vocalized those types of thoughts until a lot later on. So the moments that I remember where my mom told me to be a doctor, you know, are obviously like integral parts of who I am, but there are moments that I took what she said and made them into like my life value, my dream and my goal, you know. So she's a nurse, and the Philippines just, I feel like every Filipino person I know, every Filipino woman mostly, is a nurse, right? So the reason for that is because in the Philippines, lots of people's dreams are to come to America. And they know that nursing is like a tried and true way to do that. So they know that I can get to America this way. It's a lucrative business, or it's lucrative work. I can build a family, support a family from this profession. So that's why I think many people like believe that nursing will get you to America. So like in my eyes, healthcare has always been a very caring, loving, maternal thing because my mom embodies both nurses and motherhood to me. So that's where, you know, those roots of wanting to be in the healthcare system finally like took place. And then because of her lofty like perspective of America and doctors, like she's always ingrained that into me. She's like, oh, the doctors I work with are just so brilliant, and they're so hardworking, and they're so young, and I feel like I can see them in you, or you in them one day. So she would just like always come home and give me these like points of view of like how she views doctors and how she views the healthcare system.
Cute.
Yeah. So it means a lot to me that like nurses mean a lot to me, my mom means a lot to me, and it means a lot that like healthcare and becoming a doctor is like stemming from her roots and her value and her experience here in America.
Talk to us, whatever. We're here for you. But if it's not like just because your parents are telling you to do it, and
Right.
just because that's their dream for you, doesn't mean you should make that.
Yours.
That
like
your reality.
Like I found value in what they valued, but if you can't find that within yourself and you can't resonate, you know, with what they're pushing onto you, then like, you know, make yourself happy. Do what you love.
Like we come from immigrant families, and for our viewers and subscribers out there, we want to get to know you. We want to be there for you.
Right.
And so just know that if you feel alone throughout this process, you're not.
Right.
We're here for you.
And then if you're going to undergrad and you kind of feel like your parents pushed this idea onto you, but you don't really know where to go from there because there are no resources, there's no family doctors, there's no people that are close to you that are doctors. What I ended up doing was I Googled everything. I was like, how do I get into med school? What do I need to take? I was literally in my advisor's office almost every month just to check up, like, is this the right class? Is this the prerequisite? Like, is this everything I need? Because, there's no one really in undergrad that checks on you like that. So you have to check on yourself, and you have to make sure that you're on the right path. Like, I went to all the little panels, Q&A panels. I talked to like upperclassmen that were pre-meds also, and I took that information home to my parents because obviously they're not telling me. So I'm like, oh, Dad, this is what an MCAT is, or this is how my AP credits worked, or this is how I can like graduate early, or these are medical schools in the area and things like that. So I felt like I was the person telling them how I was going to do what they told me to do. So I felt a lot of pressure and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think I can relate to that because no one in my family did medicine. Like, no nurse. My aunt's a nurse, but I'm not really close to her. So there's like little to no medical exposure in my family, let alone the American way of doing things. Like, I remember my MCAT talking to my mom. She's like, isn't it just the SATs? And I was like, yeah, sure, kind of. But yeah, so I guess like if you come from a family where like there's no medical exposure, it's really difficult. But like my big said, doing like any kind of research online, going to advisors, going to panels or groups and meetings and stuff like that, it's honestly the best way to get information. And YouTube, of course, like I learned a bunch off of YouTube with a lot of MS ones that I watched at the time. So honestly, it's like doing your research and being willing to like learn, and I guess then sharing that information with your parents.
Yeah. We're Asians, we're strong, independent. You can look up on Google like how to do stuff yourself, that's what we all do anyway. So yeah,
I feel like you're the one who should be flexing because I don't have anything.
That's okay. But yeah, you're not alone. That's all that we did is just like look it up for ourselves and kind of like pave our own way and kind of show our parents that, I feel like I was showing my parents like this is why you came to America, and I'm going to try and like continue this dream for you. So that resonates a lot with me. I talked a lot about it in my application cycle and in my essays. So if cultural values mean something to you, definitely hone in on that, verbalize it, in eloquent manners, and then be able to like talk about it in how it makes you want to be a doctor.
And that's kind of all we have for you today.
That's it, guys.